Right now, as you're reading this, there might be infinite versions of you living completely different lives in parallel universes. One version of you is a billionaire, another is living in medieval times, and in some universes, you were never born at all. This isn't science fiction anymore. Stephen Hawking spent his final years convinced that parallel worlds aren't just possible, they're inevitable, and his explanation will shatter everything you thought you knew about reality. The legendary physicist believed we live in what he called a multiverse, an infinite collection of universes where every possible version of history plays out simultaneously. But here's what kept Hawking awake at night. If parallel universes exist, and infinite versions of you are making different choices right now, which version is the real you? And more terrifyingly, what happens when these parallel worlds start to collide? Before we dive into this mind-bending journey through parallel realities, hit that subscribe button because we're about to explore the most radical ideas in modern physics. Stephen Hawking's journey into parallel universes began with a simple but profound question. Why does our universe seem so perfectly fine-tuned for life? The fundamental constants of physics, the strength of gravity, the mass of electrons, the rate of cosmic expansion, all of these values fall within an incredibly narrow range that allows stars to form, planets to exist, and life to emerge. Change any of these constants by even a tiny amount, and the universe becomes a sterile wasteland. For decades, physicists struggled with this cosmic coincidence. How could the universe be so perfectly calibrated for our existence? Hawking realized there were only two possible explanations. Either we live in a universe designed specifically for life, or we live in one of infinite universes, and we naturally find ourselves in the one that can support our existence. The first explanation required a cosmic designer. The second required parallel worlds. Hawking chose parallel worlds, and his reasoning was both elegant and terrifying. If infinite universes exist with every possible combination of physical laws and constants, then somewhere in this vast multiverse, there must be universes exactly like ours. In fact, there must be infinite copies of our universe, each with slight variations. This means there are infinite versions of Earth, infinite versions of human history, and infinite versions of you. But how do these parallel universes actually form? Hawking's explanation draws from quantum mechanics, the bizarre science that governs the subatomic world. In quantum mechanics, particles don't have definite properties until they're observed. Instead, they exist in what physicists call superposition, a ghostly state where they're simultaneously in all possible states at once. The famous thought experiment known as Schrödinger's cat illustrates this weirdness. A cat in a box with a quantum poison device is simultaneously alive and dead until someone opens the box to observe it. But here's where Hawking's insight becomes revolutionary. What if the cat doesn't choose between life and death when observed? What if reality splits, creating one universe where the cat is alive and another where it's dead? This is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, and Hawking believed it's the key to understanding parallel universes. Every quantum measurement, every subatomic interaction, every moment of uncertainty causes reality to branch into multiple parallel worlds. The universe is constantly splitting, creating infinite copies of itself, with every possible outcome playing out somewhere. Think about the implications. Right now, quantum events are occurring in your brain as neurons fire and thoughts form. Each quantum interaction creates a branching point where reality splits. In some parallel universes, you decided to stop reading this article. In others, you never started. In still others, you're reading a completely different article about parallel universes, written by a different version of me in a universe where history unfolded differently. Hawking calculated that these quantum branchings happen trillions of times per second throughout the universe. Every radioactive decay, every photon absorption, every quantum tunneling event creates new parallel worlds. The number of parallel universes is growing exponentially, faster than we can even comprehend. We're living in an ever-expanding multiverse of infinite possibilities, but here's where Hawking's theory becomes truly mind-bending. These parallel universes aren't just abstract mathematical concepts. They're real, physical places with real people living real lives. In some of these universes, the differences are microscopic. Maybe a single atom in your body is in a slightly different position. In others, the differences are dramatic. Maybe dinosaurs never went extinct, or humans evolved from different species entirely. The physicist understood that most parallel universes would be completely unrecognizable to us. In universes where the fundamental constants are different, matter might not be able to form atoms. Stars might never ignite. Gravity might be so weak that galaxies never form, or so strong that the universe collapses immediately after the Big Bang. We exist in one of the rare universes where the conditions are just right for complexity and life. But even among the universes similar to ours, the variations are staggering. Hawking realized that every historical event that could have gone differently did go differently in some parallel world. There are universes where World War II never happened, where the Library of Alexandria was never destroyed, where the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs missed Earth entirely. Every possible timeline exists somewhere in the multiverse. This means there are versions of you living lives you can barely imagine. In some universes, you made different career choices and became a completely different person. In others, you were born into different families, different countries, different time periods. There are versions of you who are famous, versions who are unknown, versions who lived in ancient Rome or who will live in the far future. Hawking also understood the darker implications of infinite parallel worlds. If every possible outcome occurs somewhere, then every tragedy that could happen does happen in some universe. There are worlds where pandemics are worse, where wars are more devastating, where suffering is unimaginable. But there are also worlds where these tragedies were prevented, where humanity achieved peace and prosperity beyond our wildest dreams. The physicist grappled with the philosophical implications of this infinite multiverse. If every possible version of your life exists somewhere, what makes your current experience special? Are you just one random instance among infinite copies? Hawking believed that consciousness might be the key to understanding which version of reality we experience, but the mechanism remains one of the deepest mysteries in physics. But parallel universes aren't just philosophical speculation. Hawking believed they might be detectable through their gravitational effects on our universe. If parallel worlds exist in higher dimensions, their gravity could leak into our three-dimensional space, creating subtle distortions we might be able to measure. Some physicists think dark matter, the invisible substance that makes up most of the universe's mass, might actually be ordinary matter in parallel universes whose gravity affects our world. The Large Hadron Collider, the world's most powerful particle accelerator, might provide evidence for parallel universes. When particles collide at incredible energies, some of the debris might escape into higher dimensions, carrying energy away from our universe. If scientists detect missing energy in these collisions, it could be the first direct evidence that parallel worlds exist. Hawking also explored the possibility that we might be able to communicate with parallel universes under extreme conditions. Near black holes where space-time is severely warped, the barriers between parallel worlds might become thin enough for information to leak through. The physicist speculated that the information paradox of black holes might be resolved if information can escape into parallel universes rather than being destroyed. But perhaps the most startling aspect of Hawking's parallel universe theory is what it suggests about the nature of reality itself. If infinite universes exist with every possible variation, then our universe isn't unique or special. We're just one bubble in an infinite cosmic foam, one thread in an endless tapestry of realities. Everything that can happen does happen, somewhere in the vast expanse of the multiverse. This raises profound questions about free will and determinism. If every possible choice you could make is made by some version of you in parallel universes, do your decisions really matter? Hawking believed they do, because each choice determines which branch of the multiverse you experience. You can't control what happens in other universes, but you can influence which version of reality becomes your reality. The physicist also considered the possibility that parallel universes might have different laws of physics entirely. In some worlds, the speed of light might be different, or gravity might work in reverse, or time might flow backward. These universes would be so alien that we couldn't even imagine what they're like. The laws of physics we consider fundamental and unchangeable might be just local rules that apply only to our particular corner of the multiverse. Hawking's work on parallel universes also connects to his theories about the beginning of the universe. He proposed that the Big Bang wasn't a unique event, but rather one of infinite Big Bangs occurring throughout the multiverse. New universes are constantly being born through quantum fluctuations in the vacuum of space, each with its own set of physical laws and constants. This eternal inflation theory suggests that our observable universe is just one small region of a much larger, ever-expanding multiverse. While our universe appears to be 13.8 billion years old, The multiverse itself might be eternal, with no beginning and no end. We're living in one temporary bubble in an infinite ocean of space-time that's constantly creating new realities. But here's where Hawking's theory becomes truly unsettling. If new universes are constantly being created, and if consciousness can somehow influence which reality we experience, then the multiverse might be actively evolving toward configurations that support conscious observers. This anthropic principle suggests that the multiverse is biased toward creating universes where intelligent life can emerge and contemplate its own existence. The implications are staggering. If consciousness plays a fundamental role in shaping reality, then observers like us might be more than passive witnesses to the multiverse. We might be active participants in determining which parallel worlds become real and which remain mere possibilities. The act of observation might literally create the reality we observe. Hawking also explored the possibility that parallel universes might occasionally intersect or merge. If two similar universes come into contact, they might exchange information or even matter. Some physicists speculate that déjà vu experiences might be memories bleeding through from parallel worlds where similar events occurred. Others suggest that quantum tunneling effects might allow particles to occasionally jump between parallel universes. The physicist understood that these ideas push the boundaries of what we can test experimentally. Parallel universes, by definition, are separate from our own and might be impossible to observe directly. But Hawking believed that the mathematical consistency of quantum mechanics and general relativity requires parallel worlds to exist, even if we can never visit them. Recent discoveries in cosmology have provided indirect support for Hawking's multiverse theories. The cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang, shows patterns that might be evidence of collisions between our universe and parallel worlds in the early cosmos. These cosmic bruises could be scars left by encounters with other universes during the inflationary epoch. Hawking also considered the possibility that parallel universes might explain the fine-tuning problem in a different way. Instead of infinite universes with random properties, maybe the multiverse has a structure that naturally produces universes capable of supporting life. This could mean that consciousness and complexity aren't accidents, but inevitable outcomes of the multiverse's evolution. But perhaps the most profound aspect of Hawking's parallel universe theory is what it reveals about the nature of existence itself. If infinite versions of every possible reality exist simultaneously, then nothing is impossible, only improbable. Every dream, every nightmare, every fantasy becomes real somewhere in the vast expanse of parallel worlds. This means that somewhere in the multiverse, there are universes where magic works, where the laws of physics are completely different, where impossible things happen routinely. There are worlds where humans never evolved, where intelligence arose in completely different forms, where civilizations achieved technologies we can't even imagine. Hawking believed that understanding parallel universes is crucial for understanding our place in the cosmos. We're not alone in a single, isolated universe. We're part of an infinite community of realities, each containing its own version of history, its own possibilities, its own forms of life and consciousness. The multiverse is the ultimate democracy, where every possible voice gets heard, every possible story gets told. The physicist also recognized that parallel universe theory has implications for the future of humanity. If infinite versions of our species exist across the multiverse, then human extinction in our universe doesn't mean the end of humanity. Somewhere in countless parallel worlds, versions of us will continue to evolve, explore, and discover. Our species is immortal across the multiverse, even if individual universes face extinction. But this also means that every possible future for humanity is playing out somewhere. There are universes where we solve climate change and achieve sustainable civilization, others where we destroy ourselves through war or environmental collapse, still others where we transcend our biological limitations and become something unrecognizable. Every possible destiny is real, somewhere in the infinite expanse of parallel worlds. The implications extend to individual lives as well. Every decision you've ever made, every path you didn't take, every what-if scenario you've imagined is playing out in some parallel universe. There are versions of you who took that job offer you declined, who moved to that city you considered, who married that person you met but didn't pursue. The roads not taken in your life are highways in other realities. Hawking understood that this perspective could be both liberating and terrifying. On one hand, it means that every possibility is explored somewhere, that no potential is ever truly wasted. On the other hand, it raises questions about the significance of our choices if every alternative is also real somewhere else. The physicist also explored how parallel universes might interact with each other through quantum entanglement. If particles in our universe are entangled with particles in parallel worlds, then actions in our reality might instantaneously affect other realities. This quantum connection between parallel universes could explain some of the stranger aspects of quantum mechanics that have puzzled scientists for decades. But perhaps most intriguingly, Hawking considered whether information could leak between parallel universes through quantum effects. If consciousness is fundamentally quantum mechanical, then our thoughts and memories might occasionally receive input from parallel versions of ourselves. This could explain phenomena like intuition, creativity, and sudden insights that seem to come from nowhere. The physicist speculated that genius-level creativity might result from individuals who are somehow more connected to their parallel selves, able to access knowledge and insights from versions of themselves who made different discoveries or had different experiences. This would mean that breakthrough ideas don't come from nothing but from the vast library of knowledge distributed across infinite parallel minds. Hawking also considered the possibility that parallel universes might have different relationships with time. In some realities, time might move faster or slower, or even flow in reverse. This temporal diversity across the multiverse could mean that parallel versions of ourselves are living in different time periods relative to our own experience, creating a complex web of causality that spans multiple realities. The physicist's work on parallel universes also touched on the nature of identity and consciousness. If infinite copies of you exist across the multiverse, which one is the real you? Hawking suggested that consciousness might be the thread that connects these parallel selves, creating a unified identity that spans multiple realities while experiencing only one at a time. This raises profound questions about death and continuity of consciousness. If you die in this universe, but continue living in countless parallel worlds, have you really died? Hawking believed that consciousness might naturally transfer to the parallel universe, most similar to the one where death occurred, creating a form of quantum immortality, where awareness continues even when individual bodies fail. Stephen Hawking never lived to see definitive proof of parallel universes, but his theoretical framework continues to guide research into the deepest questions about reality. His equations suggest that the multiverse isn't just possible, but inevitable, a natural consequence of the quantum mechanical nature of reality combined with the inflationary expansion of space-time. The physicist's legacy in parallel universe theory extends beyond pure science into philosophy and meaning. If infinite versions of reality exist, what does it mean to live a meaningful life? Hawking believed that meaning comes from the choices we make within our particular branch of reality. We can't control what happens in other universes, but we can determine which version of the multiverse we experience through our actions and decisions. So the next time you make a choice, remember that you're not just deciding what happens in this universe, you're determining which branch of an infinite multiverse becomes your reality. Somewhere other versions of you are making different choices, living different lives, experiencing different outcomes. But this version, this reality, this moment is yours to shape. The multiverse might be infinite, but your experience of it is unique and precious. Every decision matters. Every moment counts because this particular combination of events, this specific thread in the cosmic tapestry, will never happen again exactly the same way. You are both one among infinite copies and absolutely unique in the vast expanse of parallel realities. If this exploration of Stephen Hawking's parallel universe theories has blown your mind as much as it blew his, make sure to smash that like button to support more deep dives into the most mind-bending concepts in modern physics. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest journeys into the mysteries that challenge everything we think we know about reality. Share this video with anyone who's ever wondered if there might be other versions of themselves living different lives in parallel worlds, because these ideas could fundamentally change how we understand existence itself. And let me know in the comments, if you could meet a version of yourself from a parallel universe, what would you want to ask them? What choices do you think led to the biggest differences between your realities? What aspect of parallel universe theory fascinates you most? The infinite possibilities, the quantum mechanics behind it, or the philosophical implications for consciousness and identity? Drop your thoughts below, and join our community of cosmic explorers as we continue to unravel the deepest mysteries of the multiverse. The infinite expanse of parallel realities is waiting to be explored, and with your support, we're just getting started on this incredible journey through the many worlds of Stephen Hawking's imagination.